Hello and welcome to Betfred's Football Show. It's all about the coronation and, more importantly, relegation this weekend in the Premier League. Paul Robinson is alongside me. Let's talk about your old club, Leeds. So they've gone from Bielsa to Allardyce.
I know. Listen, I think it's fantastic. I think it's a really, really sensible appointment. I can understand the pushback from some of the fans thinking, Bielsa football 18 months ago to Sam Allardyce, where's the club going? We've got no direction. Nobody's saying this is long term. Nobody's sitting there going, look, this is the way we're going. Sam Allardyce is the future of this club. What the message is coming out is, we're in a lot of trouble here. We want to stay in the Premier League. The last time we fell out of the Premier League, we never got back for 16, 17 years. There's a potential of a massive takeover for the owner, so you can understand his reasonings and wanting to stay in the Premier League. The team was sleepwalking towards relegation. Under the previous manager, the organisation, the defence was a shambles. They were conceding far too many goals. Listen, you concede 6 against Liverpool, understandable. Liverpool on their day can put 6 past you. You don't concede 5 to Crystal Palace, 4 to Bournemouth. And the way that they were playing, there was no direction on our organisation. It had to change. To bring Big Sam in, yes, he's got the Red Adair tag, he's got the Fireman Sam tag, but I think his organisation, his man management, listen, he's the best man manager that I've ever worked for. If anybody can get Leeds facing the right way, it's him. And something drastic had to change. I can sit here all day and talk about what's gone wrong and what's happened, and I can sit here all day and talk about the future and what's needed and the project manager and the new manager and the way Leeds want to play. But we're not. We're talking about the here and now, and he is the best man for what they need now.
So you just said he was the best manager you ever worked under. What qualities does he bring then?
He's honest, and his leadership qualities, and his door's always open. We saw his press conference and the way that he spoke about the Leeds lads. He's asked every one of them how they feel, what they think the problem is, and then he will make his decisions and his informed decisions on that. There's a lot to be said for experience in this league. Look at what Neil Warnock did at Huddersfield last night. They were cut adrift by 4 points at the bottom of the Championship in mid-February. They're now safe. Look at Roy Hodgson. I was sceptical when Roy Hodgson went in. I'm thinking, that's a big decision. He's kept Palace up well and comfortably. These older managers with the experience and the way that they manage players, he's not going to go in there. He's not going to make Robin Koch, Liam Cooper, Luke Ayling better players in the space of 3 or 4 days before they play Man City. But he's going to put a structure in. He's going to put an organisation in. They will defend from the front. The defence is the weakest part of the team. He will set the team up in a way that they will protect that defence. This weekend's a massive ask for them. But I think if you need somebody to organise and you just need a good feeling in the camp as well to start with. And his man management qualities are excellent.
Relegation odds. Southampton, obviously, they're cut adrift, 24 points. They're 1 to 66. Leeds, 8 to 15 to go down. Forest, 8 to 11. Everton, 8 to 11. Leicester, 7 to 4. West Ham, 20 to 1. And Bournemouth, well, they were at the bottom for a while. 150 to 1 now to go down. So the bookies think Leeds are banging it. They have got Man City away, Newcastle home, West Ham away, Spurs at home. So realistically, well, Big Sam has said it, hasn't he? We need to win at least 2.
He thinks 2. I think they need less than that because I think there's other teams around them that are poor. I mean, Forest play Southampton this weekend. In my opinion, Forest win that. Southampton are done, they're gone. Then Forest, I'm looking at Forest fixtures between now and the end of the season. At Chelsea, who knows what could happen. Home to Arsenal, away at Palace. And Everton as well. They're at Brighton this weekend. We've seen Brighton put 6 past Wolves, beat Man United and Man City. And it's anything could happen, but I think...
So Everton have got Brighton away, Man City at home, Wolves away, Bournemouth at home.
Bournemouth, yeah.
Leicester, Fulham away, Liverpool at home, Newcastle away, West Ham at home.
So you're looking at all them fixtures. Nobody's going to go on a run there. Nobody's picking up 6, 7 points out of those fixtures. 3 or 4 points, and it depends on other teams around you. You can't rely on other teams around you. We've seen that this year. But I mean, the points in the bottom of the league now, what Bournemouth have done is excellent. They've got themselves right out of it. But with Leeds, I think they only need 1 win, Mark. I really do. I think 4 will see them definitely safe, but I think they only need 1. This weekend at Manchester City is the toughest ask you could possibly have. Nobody's expecting them to win. No, I don't even think Sam will expect them to win. It's how they come out of this weekend, confidence-wise, to how they move on. Listen, if they go to Manchester City and get 5, 6, 7 put past them, they're in trouble. If they come out this weekend losing 2-1, 3-1, 3-0, put in a performance, and the manager sees something from his team, in a similar way that Leicester did when they went there with Dean Smith, he changed it up and they put in a performance at the Etihad. It's huge how Leeds come out of this weekend. The games that Sam will target are Newcastle at home, the next home game, and West Ham away. He won't want it to go to the last game of the season against Tottenham because the pressure of the last game of the season, we all know what it's about.
It probably will go to the last
Probably
game.
will
Did
do.
last year for Leeds.
He will be looking, having worked with him, he'll look at West Ham away, he'll want 3 points there and get a point against Newcastle at home. If they get beat this weekend at the Etihad, which we expect they will, point at home against Newcastle, gives a little bit of momentum, a little bit of energy into the side, go to West Ham and win, and hopefully for them have the job done. I can see him picking up 4 points.
Which 3 clubs go down then? We all agreed that Southampton have gone out there with just 4 games left. So who are the other 2 teams to join Southampton?
I think that Forest and Everton go at the moment. It pains me to say it because I thought Sean Dyche was a great appointment for Everton, but I think that it's clearly been their lack of forward prowess, their lack of goals. I mean, he said it himself last week, but they went to Leicester and scored 2. And listen, we're at a stage of the season now where it's the hardest stage of the season to bet and to have an acca, because you never know. Different teams have got different agendas. You know, we've not talked about West Ham. West Ham are still down there.
Yep.
They've got games in hand.
Man United at home, Brentford away, Leeds at home, Leicester away.
But they've also got one eye on AZ Alkmaar in the semi-final of the Europa Conference League. So David Moyes will be looking for a European trophy as well. So yes, I think they have got enough and they will stay out of it. But you just don't know who's going to pick up what. It's a really difficult time of the season.
Right, let's talk about the individual games this weekend then. Starting with Leeds at Man City. It's on Sky, by the way, 3 o'clock kickoff on Sky. That's by royal consent because of the coronation.
Can we not have that every week? Them 3. Everywhere else in the world you can watch 3 o'clock kickoffs, can't you, apart from here?
Well, you'll have to ask, well, it'll be King Charles tomorrow, won't it? You'll have to ask King Charles. It's by royal consent, the 3 o'clock kickoff. Right, Haaland, 35 goals. Got the Premier League record. How good has he been?
I think he's probably one of the best we've seen, if not the best we've seen. And Pep frighteningly said that he can improve last week, didn't he? Said there's parts of his game that he can improve.
Well, he's only young, isn't he?
Oh, well, all he does is score goals. But I mean, look how many goals he scores. The runs that he makes, he's phenomenal. And in that team, you look at the players around him, the chances they create, he's going to do it again and again and again with the quality that he's got. I think we run out of superlatives for him. I mean, the only thing you can say is when you see him as the physical specimen in the flesh, he's on a pitch there. I watched him warm up last week, and you look at him amongst his teammates who are professional athletes, who are top of their game, top Premier League players, top world stars. He stands out. He just looks different. He looks like an absolute machine. I mean, he's phenomenal. And with him in the side, City can achieve whatever they want to achieve.
So can Leeds under Big Sam get anything tomorrow?
I think I'd be half interested to see what team Pep puts out, because he put Ortega in midweek. He put Edison out, didn't he give him a rest, because Ortega hasn't got much Premier League experience. They're still competing on 3 fronts. He's got the Champions League semi-final next week against Real Madrid. He's got the FA Cup final against Manchester United at the end of the season, and he obviously wants to win the league. I think he might, and he won't disrespect Leeds, he never disrespects teams, but I think we might just see a bit of a change Manchester City side. Although, when he made 5 changes in the second half against Leicester, they weren't the same Manchester City, and Leicester came back into it. He may start strong, want to get the early goals and then change it up. In answer to your question, I don't think Leeds can get anything there. I think it'd be a really, really big ask for them. I think the important thing for Leeds is how they come out of that game.
So Big Sam tomorrow will be just looking for an improved performance.
He wants a performance and he wants a reaction, and he wants to see something, what he's put in on the training ground this week, what he's implemented. He will look to go there, be tough, be resilient, be hard to break down. He will put attacking players in there, but players that have got legs that can hit City on the break, and he will look to set plays. It might not be pretty.
Would you stick with the keeper?
That's a really big decision for him. And I think it's depending on the keeper's mindset and how he is. Because at times as a goalkeeper, you can't see the wood for the trees. Your mindset is you want to keep working, you want to keep playing, when actually sometimes you need an arm around you and say, you know, you need a rest. It's a big decision because Joel Robles is the number 2. Hardly played any football at the age of 32, 33, I think he is. Very, very limited career at first team football. Hasn't played, isn't match fit, don't think he's fit enough to play. But it'd be a big decision to leave out Meslier. If it was my decision, you'd obviously have to speak to the kid, see his mindset, but he's a top-class goalkeeper who's just in a bad place at the moment. I'd leave him in.
He has made some great saves, hasn't he?
I would leave him in because I think I hate the saying it's a free hit against City. Nobody's expecting him to keep a clean sheet against City, but there's one thing he will be, he's busy, and he might get a bit of confidence back by making a load of saves.
Prediction then for Man City Leeds, live on Sky, 3 o'clock kickoff.
Dominant City, Leeds to be tougher. They'll get a goal from a set play, Leeds at some point, 3-1 City.
3-1 Man City. Right, Bournemouth, Chelsea. These teams are both on 39 points.
Unbelievable,
this is
isn't it?
12th versus 13th.
I mean, it's incredible. I mean, to think the 2 seasons that these clubs have had, Gary O'Neill's done an incredible job at Bournemouth, where he's took them from. I mean, I remember about 2 or 3 months ago sitting in the studio saying that them and Southampton were done. And you look at the running, what Gary O'Neill's done, the results that he's got. I mean, they've lost only 5 of 9 against Chelsea as well. So this is going to be an interesting game this weekend. Dominic Solanke's a man in form. Jefferson Lerma got 2 goals last week against Leeds. Are Bournemouth favourites in this game? I'd be very, very surprised if Bournemouth weren't favourites at home. And I mean, how many times have we just sat in the studio and said Bournemouth are favourites at home against Chelsea? I just think Chelsea are just in an awful place. I watched them play against Arsenal and they were unrecognisable. You watch what you watch on the television, but the camera doesn't pan out far enough so you can see other players. You see body language, you see
Chelsea
their work off the ball.
Favourites.
Are they?
Yeah,
right.
Quite a long way.
Get on Bournemouth, there's some value there, because the attitude of the Chelsea players against Arsenal for me was so disappointing. I mean, they came back a little bit in the second half, but the way that they played, the way they defended, they've lost at home to Brentford, lost at home to Brighton, lost away at Arsenal. I mean, lost 7 of 8 in all competitions. You just don't know where Chelsea are going. They're a rudderless ship. What they're playing for, they're not playing for anything. South Beach, Bournemouth, flip-flops on, every chance. Value in Bournemouth this weekend, definitely.
Prediction?
Both teams to score, because Chelsea have got quality. I've gone Bournemouth 2-1 and Solanke to score.
Tottenham versus Palace. That was nearly a brilliant comeback at Anfield.
Nearly a brilliant comeback, but it takes them 2 or 3 goals down to start playing again, Tottenham, doesn't it? So I was there for the Manchester United game in midweek. First half, really poor again. Second half, night and day. You didn't recognise the side. But a team like Tottenham to have to go 2 or 3 down, to then it almost seems like it's a pressure valve released. All right, we're 2 or 3 down. We've got nothing to play for. We'll have a go now. I mean, you just don't know what Tottenham team's going to turn up. Defensively, they've got huge problems. I think managerial-wise, it needs to be sorted out. It's a massive summer for Tottenham. Are they going to get in the top 4? No, they're not. Not now. You know, they're playing against the Palace side, who under Roy Hodgson have been excellent. He's turned them around offensively, scored goals. They've been, with Vieira, I'd say they were probably the worst team in the league to watch, Palace. But under Hodgson, he's turned them around. He's got goals. And it won't be easy for Spurs. I think Ryan Mason will get performance out of them, but I think they'll win.
What's goal?
It'll be a goal fest again, because Spurs can't defend. There's no leaders in that back 3, back 4, whatever he plays. And Palace have got players like Zaha, Ayew. I've got to say about Sam Johnson as well for Palace. He's been brilliant since he's come in goal. But Spurs improving, scoring goals, defensively poor. Both teams to score over 2.5 or 3.5 goals. 3-2 Spurs.
Wolves, Aston Villa.
Villa have been good, haven't they? Unai Emery, for me, and we talked in the studio a couple of weeks ago with Matt about the manager of the year, and Unai Emery was up there for me.
16th when he took over.
That's incredible, isn't it? And an outside opportunity of a Champions League place, definitely a European place. I mean, the way that he's got his team playing away from home, they've been more impressive for me, the way that they're set up. They go away from home and get results. Ollie Watkins, 15 goals, 6 assists. He looks a different player. I think Emery's up there for manager of the season. But then Lopetegui as well has gone into Wolves. What a fantastic appointment he was. Thinking they're doing all right, pulling
37 points should be enough.
There should be enough. And I think, do you know what? I think they took the foot off the pedal a little bit last week, didn't they? I think they probably thought it was enough. And then they got to Brighton and got 6 stuck past them. So it's an interesting game. It's a really interesting game.
That's a huge game in that part of the world as well, isn't it? Wolves.
It's a derby, and I think there's more on it for Villa. Wolves are better at home. The thing for me is Wolves are massively going to want a reaction after last week. You don't get 6 put past you when you're trying to stay in the league. But I think Villa are very good away from home. I'm going to go 1-0 Villa.
1-0 Villa. Right, 5:30 game, Liverpool versus Brentford. You were at Anfield midweek. Liverpool worked great, but got the win.
And I think that's the key. I think that's, what is it now? 5 straight that they've won now, isn't it? The 5 on the bounce. Jurgen Klopp's playing down the chances of that 4th place.
Yeah.
But with Manchester United slipping up last night against Brighton, they're still in with a chance of Liverpool.
It's 4 points, but Man United have got a game in hand. Newcastle 1-20 to finish in the top 4. Manchester United 1-8. Liverpool 7-2. Brighton 16-1. So 4 points behind Manchester United, but Manchester United do have a game in hand.
Yeah, Liverpool they're getting results without playing particularly well. I mean, the only game they've played well in is when they beat Leeds 6. They stumbled past Spurs. They beat Fulham at home. in an unconvincing performance. But the one thing that I did like about them was Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's taking that hybrid position, what we've seen Man City do with John Stones in that, and Kyle Walker in that midfield role. And Trent was almost playing as a midfield player. He was the most attacking, creative player that Liverpool had on the park, and the goalkeeper was excellent. And saying that, Fulham could have got something out of the game. They played really well. So Brentford have got a chance going to Anfield. I really think they have, under Thomas Frank. Ivan Toney is their goal machine. If they're going to get a goal, it's coming from him. He's got 21. The only one underneath him is Mbuemo on 6. So Brentford won't be a pushover for Liverpool.
What score then?
What have I put up? Look, it's a close game because Liverpool are not at the best. I think both teams will score, but I think it'll be a narrow victory for Liverpool. They'll keep grinding out these results. 2-1 Liverpool.
Let's move to Sunday. The 4:30 game on Sky is Newcastle versus Arsenal. I'm looking forward to watching this. Newcastle obviously now 1-20 to finish in the top 4. They should have Champions League football. Arsenal will still want to put the pressure on Man City just in case Man City do slip up, but I don't think that's going to happen.
This is the game of the weekend, isn't it? This is the biggest test that Arsenal have faced. I mean, all this season we talked about when's Arsenal bubble going to burst, and you've got to give them so much credit because it hasn't. They've had 2 slip-ups against Manchester City, they're 2 defeats, but they keep coming back, they keep recovering from these defeats. I think the draw against West Ham, at West Ham, and the draw at home to Southampton could be punishing for them. Yeah. And I think this is a massive game for them going up to Newcastle. This is the biggest test they've had. Newcastle, 3 wins on the bounce, 13 goals, only conceded 3. I just think what Eddie Howe's done there is excellent. Callum Wilson coming off the bench, scoring goals. He's got a problem with Wilson and Isak. Which one does he play? It's now looking more and more like...
That's a good signing, that Isak, doesn't he?
He's looking like he's going to have to play both of them, Mark, because they actually play well together. Last week, when they were chasing the game against Southampton, they went 1 down. He brought Wilson on, he played Isak and Wilson together, and the pair of them together looked really, really well. Defensively with Shah and Botman, and combined with Nick Pope, defensively they've been excellent. I think this is one step too far. I think this is where it finishes for Arsenal.
What score?
3-1. I think Arsenal got quality. I think they'll get a goal, but I just think that the atmosphere there at St James's, for any of you who have been to St James's this season, that the atmosphere there now, it's always been good, but it's just gone up another level. The only thing they've got to manage with success comes expectation. So the expectation levels have now gone through the roof. I expect Newcastle to win this 3-1.
Then we have a game at 7 o'clock on Sunday night, West Ham versus Manchester United, live on BT. Manchester United drew against Spurs recently, just lost against Brighton when they really could have cemented that top 4 spot. Still 1-8 to finish in the top 4. But let me give you this stat. Manchester United against the top 9 this season away from home, Paul. Played 8, won none, drawn 1, lost 7. They've not beaten anyone away from home in the top 9 this season.
And I think that's the next step for Ten Hag. We all wax lyrical about him, saying how well he's done. And listen, let's be honest, he has done. If you're a United fan, like many people in this building are, at the start of this season, if you'd have said a trophy in top 4, you'd have absolutely snapped people's hand off it for where United were. And the transformation, what he's done and he's put into that side, I still think there's more to come. I think he needs a couple more transfer windows. I think he's made big decisions on players and he'll continue to do that. But I think that the one thing that you can criticise them for is a little bit of a soft underbelly away from home. And when they go 1 or 2 down, the defeats at Brentford, the defeat away at Seville, the performances there. I mean, it's easy to jump on the bandwagon, but the defeat at Anfield, you look at some away performances and the performances away against the bigger sides, that's the little bit that's been missing. I think the worrying thing was, especially, was the one in Seville. Not the defeat, it was the manner of the defeat. And that's not a one-off, that's crept in through the season, as you pointed out with your stat there. And I think this will be a test for them going to West Ham, because West Ham have got everything to play for, trying to stay in this league.
As for Brighton last night, De Zerbi said there is a god of football.
I think, yeah, there's a little bit of a payback there. And I think from memory, a couple of seasons ago, I think VAR, didn't they give United a penalty when the game had already finished?
Yeah, about the 9th minute.
The game had already finished.
Yeah. To win 3-2,
They give a penalty to
and obviously the penalty shootout.
And the penalty last weekend in the FA Cup, yeah. So, listen, Brighton are just a fairy tale story. I'm sure we'll talk about them further on. But it was always going to be a difficult game for United last night. In all honesty, I don't think they deserved to lose. Jason Steele was the man of the match, the Brighton goalkeeper. So first half, I think United had the lion's share of possession. If they go and put in a performance like that against West Ham, they'll cause West Ham problems.
Go on, give us a prediction then for
Well, West Ham,
Man United.
3 defeats on the spin. They beat Bournemouth 4-0 away and everyone think that's it, West Ham are safe. They've had 3 defeats on the spin. Their form's not bad. Paqueta is playing extremely well. They had the illness in the squad at the weekend. Declan Rice will come back into the side. Souček will come back into the side. Won't be straightforward. I think it'll be a very, very good game. I'm going to sit on the fence. I'm going to go 1 each.
1 each. Right, let's move to Monday. 3 o'clock, Fulham versus Leicester.
Fulham are an interesting side because looking at the grander scale of things, they've had a really good season. Looking at recent time, they've lost 8 out of the last 10. They've only won 2 in the last 10. The other 8 they've lost. So the season's kind of petering out a little bit. And I went to Anfield on Wednesday night, thoroughly expecting Liverpool to thump them. They made 5 changes, Fulham, and they put in a real performance. They're missing 2 or 3 key players, but they've always been in the game this season. Yes, they've lost 8 of the last 10, but they've always been in a game. The worrying thing for Marco Silva is they've lost the 3 of the last 4 at home. So Leicester will be going there with hope. Willian, Vinicius were very good against Liverpool. Whether he changes that up or not, I don't know. But Leicester are fighting for their life. Fulham now, European place, a little bit out of touch. It's not looking a reality for them. I think there's more on this game for Leicester.
Leicester's fixtures, Fulham away, then Liverpool at home, Newcastle away, West Ham at home. So if Leicester are on 30 points, are looking for 6 points, like Leeds, then Fulham away is one of the games he'll have targeted, isn't it?
Well, I mean, they're not nice fixtures down there, are they? You look at what Leicester have got, you look at what Leeds have got, and what you just said there about Leicester, Liverpool at home, Newcastle away, and West Ham at home. West Ham on the last day could need points as well. Liverpool at home is always going to be difficult, and away at Newcastle, we've just talked about them, they're flying. And I mean, the thing with Leicester, I looked at a stat, there's only Southampton conceded more first goals in a game. Leicester have conceded the first goal in 16 out of the last 17 games.
Wow.
And the only other game where they didn't concede the first goal against Palace, they lost 2-1. So it's not a good start for Leicester. They've had no away clean sheet since the World Cup. So this one, for me, it's a banker draw, and it's a banker both teams to score. Desmond, 2-2.
Right. And then finally, Monday night, massive game, Nottingham Forest versus Southampton. So Nottingham Forest on 30 points, Leeds and Leicester on 30 points, just above. Forest have got to win his home game, haven't they?
This is an absolute must-win for Forest. Like we said, we looked at their fixtures. After this, Forest are at Chelsea, home to Arsenal and at Palace. You question where points are coming from because Forest are poor on the road. They're really poor on the road this season. They have to win this game. Southampton are at the same, have to win this game. But their form, I mean, they've lost at Newcastle, lost at Bournemouth, lost against Arsenal. Sorry, drawn at Arsenal. They have to win this game. If Southampton don't win this, they're done. I think they're already done. I don't think they'll win this game. I think Forest will be strong enough. You look at Forest fixtures, it's an absolute must-win. But it's so unpredictable at this stage of the season. I back Forest at home. I think they're strong enough. I think they've got the attacking firepower to do it. But listen, this will be an electric City ground. The atmosphere has been fantastic there, but it will be nervy, it will be edgy. But I've got Forest to win 2-0.
Forest to win 2-0. And on Bank Holiday Monday afternoon, it's the last game in the Championship before the playoffs. Well done to Neil Warnock and Huddersfield. Paul mentioned that early on. Well done to Neil Warnock keeping Huddersfield up. Right, so we know that obviously Burnley are champions. We know Sheffield United have gone up. We know that Luton and Middlesbrough are definitely going to playoffs. What a job Michael Carrick has done, one of your old teammates at Middlesbrough. Fabulous job from when he took over. So it's 2 from 5. Coventry, Millwall, Sunderland, West Brom and Blackburn. And Middlesbrough play Coventry. Millwall, Blackburn, what a game that is going to be for your old club, Paul. Swansea, West Brom, Preston, Sunderland.
Never fails to disappoint the Championship, does it? I mean, it's been a fantastic season. Again, promotion, relegation. And we're going down to the last game of the season to decide who's in the playoffs. Luton, what Rob Edwards has done at Luton is outstanding. Yeah. If Luton don't go up this year through the playoffs, I think he'll be a sought-after manager. I think there'll be players, there'll be many admiring glances. Michael Carrick, the like, as well at Middlesbrough. But that game, Millwall-Blackburn, is a huge, huge game. To have so many teams fighting for 2 spaces towards the end of the season, it really is going to be a great Bank Holiday Monday. It's one to sit there and watch Sky Sports, watch the results come in. Yeah. Every minute the table's going to change. Yeah. And as hard as we said about predicting the Premier League at this point in the season, this really is a toss of a coin. You genuinely cannot. Form goes out the window. team shape, team setup, everything goes out the window. These games literally are cup finals to try and get into 2 more cup finals in the playoffs. It's just going to be a fantastic weekend of football. It really is.
Yeah, it's Coronation Weekend, but it's a huge weekend in the Premier League and the Championship and League One and League Two, of course, as well. Fred's declared the Premier League over last weekend. He crowned Man City champions. So if you've not collected your Man City money already, go and collect, because Fred has already paid out on Man City to win the title. But it's going to be a huge weekend at the bottom. Just one final question. We'll finish where we started on Leeds. Can Big Sam do it again? He's had relegation once, hasn't he, with West Brom?
He's had relegation once. He's survived relegation many times, and he gets criticised a lot for the way that he plays and been a dinosaur, etc. But let's not forget, this man was once deemed good enough to be the England manager. Had an opportunity to work with better players, and I think given that opportunity to be a manager at the top level, yes, he can do it. I think he can. But I think a lot depends on this weekend. I'm in no way saying that they can go to the Etihad and get a result. They have to come away from the Etihad without being heavily scarred. Yes, they can get 4 points and stay up.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for your company. Enjoy the football over Coronation Weekend.